Just give me a second. I'll just give you a heads up once it's gone live. Just yep. Yeah. Real life. I'm going to pass on the host hat to you, Dr. Rohit. Uh, if I need to share the slide, I need to be a co-host. So if you can, one of you can add me as a co-host, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Humaira.
Shall we start? All right. Greetings, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Depending on where you are joining from. You are all very warm welcome to the very exclusive webinar, which we are organizing to celebrate the World Ranger Day, which is the 31st of July. This is a joint event of the IUC and WCPA and the Universal Ranger Support Alliance. So today is a very special day because this brings us an opportunity to talk about the individuals who are all over the world are taking up a very important responsibility of protecting nature and many more such roles which are critical for the survival of our planets. So what we are going to do today for the next whole hour is to learn about the roles which these individuals that we collectively call as rangers play in the conservation of biodiversity, the natural resources, but also to support many other services which are part of our planet Earth. We have a list of the guests and experts lined up who will be introducing us to many such roles that rangers play, but most essentially that are not known to us. Today's webinar will be bringing the roles and recognitions of the rangers which are beyond the scope of biodiversity because they may wear so many hats, but they are not just the nature defenders, they are also the first line responders who are helpful not just to respond to emergency for wildlife biodiversity, but also to many more community services. And to begin with this webinar and to set this ground up for everybody to learn more about today's theme, we are very privileged and honored to have with us Dr. Madhu Rao, who is the chair of the IUC and WCPA. She is so well known, and with her, she brings so many years of experience and knowledge and wisdom, not just for the field of conservation, but also for the individuals who are working on the front line for conservation of biodiversity. I would pass it on to Dr. Madhu to formally open this webinar. Over to you, Dr. Madhu.
Thank you, Humaira. Thank you very much. I'm very deeply honored to give these opening remarks today on the occasion of World Ranger Day. Our planet is facing enormous challenges: climate change, biodiversity loss, poverty, and pandemics. These challenges are very closely linked to a deteriorating natural environment. Meanwhile, one of our most important assets, rangers working in protected and conserved areas, responsible for managing large tracts of the planet's lands and waters, are fundamental to environmental security and human well-being, yet remain insufficiently recognized for their contributions. IUC and WCPA reaffirms its support for the world's rangers, who are women, men, government employees, private sector workers, community members, indigenous guardians, and volunteers. The work of these women and men is skilled and diverse. They are protectors, educators, community facilitators, and wildlife monitors, working in protected areas, private reserves, indigenous territories, and community conservancies. The ranger workforce is vital for ensuring we achieve our global goals for protected and conserved areas. Yet many endure poor terms of employment and inadequate and hazardous working conditions. They risk and lose their lives, live under difficult conditions, and spend long, arduous hours in the field to protect wildlife and secure protected areas. On World Ranger Day today, especially, we remember and pay our respects to those who have died at work in the last year through accidents, illness, or homicide. Most importantly, the world's rangers are fundamental to the recovery of nature and successful implementation of global goals. We need to quite urgently recognize and formalize their contributions, support the professionalization of the ranger workforce, and increase their numbers fivefold from current numbers if we want to turn the tide on biodiversity declines. IUCN WCPA recognizes the work of the International Ranger Federation and the Universal Ranger Support Alliance, URSA, to build a professional, diverse, competent, responsible, accountable, and well-supported workforce ready to meet the challenges of protection and fair management of 30% of the planet. We are committed to adding our support to these efforts. With this, I thank you very much and wish you all a very productive event today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madhu Rao, and what an absolute honor to have you with us for this webinar. And you rightly pointed out that this day is such an opportunity to honor the bravery and the sacrifices of the rangers, and remembering those who have lost their lives serving on duties. Without their incredible support and services, the world and the planet's biodiversity is not going to be in protected hands. Moving on to the next part of this webinar, which comes with the launch of some very important social media channels of our IUCN WCPA group. And to do the honor, I would like to introduce another very important individual, Ms. Amrita Memon, who is an applied ecologist and has chosen a path from conserving nature to also become an educator. And she works as the regional focal point, a young professional for the South Asia chapter of the IUCN WCPA. I would let Amrita do the honor to introduce you to the channels and the rest of the information. Over to you, Amrita.
Thank you very much, Hamera. Just a second, I'm just sharing my screen. So just quickly, it's a great honor to be here with all of you today, and along with our rangers. We thought we'd take this opportunity to also launch our WCPA South Asia social media platforms. And this is quite briefly, we have, sorry about that. So we have started a page on Twitter, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn and YouTube. And YouTube is where we are live streaming this particular webinar, and we are hoping to have more webinars, hopefully every month, starting now onwards. So please look out for these social media platforms to make sure that you're up to date with any sort of job opportunities, as well as any upcoming events or conferences, different kind of information related to protected areas. The next thing is the WCPA membership. If you're interested, I will be posting details on the YouTube channel chat, and you can also reach out to us at this email address, which will also be shared on the YouTube platform. That was it very quickly. And thank you very much, Hamera, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Amrita, and congratulations on starting the channel. And we'll be very happy to also see the more information coming for people to join. With this and building upon the context that Dr. Madhu Rao has set to introduce us to the rangers, it is the time for us to learn more about what rangers are actually and what do they do. And to do the honor, I would now pass on to an individual whose name and rangers work cannot be dissociated. I'm referring to Rohit Singh, who is the Asia representative of the International Ranger Federation and wears many hats. So Rohit, over to you and to introduce us to the introductory videos about rangers.
Thanks a lot, Humaira. So first of all, happy World Ranger Day to everyone. It is the day when we celebrate the profession, but also acknowledge the sacrifices rangers are making. As Madhu mentioned, 140 rangers have lost their lives in the line of duty. in past 12 months. But this is not the first time. 2 rangers have died in the line of duty every week since 2006. But what I would like to talk about is when we think of a ranger, what comes to our mind is a man in a uniform, probably as a law enforcement officer. But rangers are way more than that. Rangers, it is probably the most diverse profession on the planet. Rangers do work in many environments. We act as a mechanic. We fix vehicles. We save human lives. We are first responders. We are protecting wildlife. We are preventing zoonotic disease. We wear many hats, and that's the reason why this job is so critical. In the context of 30 by 30, everybody is talking about acres and dollars. Nobody's talking about the workforce that's going to deliver this. Rangers are the backbone of conservation. Like you cannot have an education policy without teachers or health policy without community health workers. Similarly, you can't have a global biodiversity policy or you can't achieve global biodiversity goals without a professional ranger workforce. So the video that we're going to show you celebrates the diversity of roles, diversity of geographies, and diversity of gender ranger workforce represents. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rohit. And building upon this powerful introduction, we will now be playing 2 videos explaining the ranger workforce. Very beautiful animations that were put together by the Universal Ranger Support Alliance. Amrita, will you help us to please play them?
Yeah. Just let me know if it is not audible. I'm going to play it now.
So the voice is thing you need to turn on the voice option as well.
Amrita, there's no voice.
Sorry?
There's no audio. There's no audio.
Oh, can we just check from just sorry. Can I just play it once again and try? Yeah.
Please do that.
Yes, please.
The sound is still an issue, but we can see it and understand it actually. Now it's working, excellent.
think the audio came towards the end.
It did. Thank you very much. Shall we go for the next video?
Yeah, I can share the video.
I am a ranger.
I work within Mount Kenya ecosystem.
Mi nombre es Alfonso y soy agente medioambiental de la Junta de Castilla y León.
ನಾನು ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ನಾಗರಹೊಳೆ ಹುಲಿ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿತ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ವಲಯಾರಣ್ಯಾಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
I'm the senior park warden and park manager of the Exhibit Keys Land and Sea Park.
I work in the forest. I am from Fundundu, Zimbabwe.
I work in the Lee Valley Regional Park.
I protect the wildlife, the natural heritage and its inhabitants in Wadiuraya National Park.
I work in Pakistan National Park.
I protect the flora and fauna within Victoria.
I protect wildlands.
I protect wildlife.
I protect marine life.
I am a guide.
I'm an emergency responder.
I am a healthcare provider.
I am a teacher.
I am a guardian.
And I am being asked to protect
30% of the world's land and the oceans.
Over to you, Humaira.
Thank you very much, Rohit and Sonam and Amrita. Building on this video, which was an introduction and a good reflection of the diversity of the roles that ranger play, this webinar is actually a good place for us to also celebrate those diversity of roles, because rangers wear many hats and each with its own unique value and role, from safeguarding biodiversity to protecting habitats, to preserving cultural values, to educating communities. Rangers' work really represent a unique, diverse range of responsibilities, and that is a rare opportunity profession. And which is why on today's webinar, while we celebrate the World Ranger Day, we brought with us 3 rangers from 3 different Asian countries to talk about their unique roles and their experiences. We will be now listening from and hearing the stories from our 3 rangers from Nepal, India, and Bhutan, who are working in their unique settings and also making a strong difference for biodiversity conservation. So the first ranger that I would like to invite, and before I introduce her, I should say ranger workforce is a force which is a profession which represents both men and ranger, in fact, a person of every gender. And they both, all the genders are equally contributing to the conservation of biodiversity. However, largely the ranger workforce stays a gender skewed workforce, and the women representation is significantly low, between 3 to 11%. But today, when we celebrate rangers, we also celebrate diversity. For women rangers, people like Dr. Sonali Ghosh, people like Alina Chaudhary, who will be our next, Alina Chaudhary, who will be our next speaker. So Alina comes from Nepal, and she also wears a lot of hats, from community-based anti-patrol unit in her area to work on critically endangered species of vultures. She has done it all in her career, which spans over a decade's time. She represents communities, she represents strong conservation values, and also her deeper connection with conservation. So we would like to hear from Alina about her story and experiences, especially as a ranger who's a first responder and also who works very closely with the communities. So over to you, Alina. Tell us about your story.
And good evening from Nepal. Thank you so much, ma'am, and the whole organizer for giving me this golden opportunity to share my story as a community ranger. First of all, I would like to wish you all a happy World Ranger Day 2024. And my story starts here from here. I was born in the village very close to the buffer zone area of the Chitwan National Park. And at that time, my parents were already in this conservation field and in this tourism field. And so my schooling and grooming starts from my childhood. And I got a chance to play with the nature, even though I had no idea about it because of my daddy. And he was the naturalist and he used to work in the well-renowned wildlife laws inside the Chitwan National Park. And he's my great inspiration. And I have two sisters, two younger sisters, and most of my childhood, my school vacations are were spent on that inside the Chitwan National Park. And at that time, the monkeys, they used to drop the flowers and fruits from the trees, and we used to run and collect those flowers and fruits, and we used to play with it. And also, inside that lodge, they have rescued two baby rhinos, two orphan rhinos, and the rhinos were like a pet to us. And my sisters and I used to play with them, and we feed fruits and leaves to eat and to them, and they used to follow us. And have great experiences inside the Chitwan National Park, and many safaris, walks, bird watching since my young age. And now makes me more passionate about the wildlife conservation and the nature conservation. And as I grew up, I started to understand the true meaning of the nature and its conservation. And I became I started to learn more about the wildlife and become more aware and responsible towards it. And in school days, as a student, I used to participate in different conservation activities and clubs. And my journey as a community rangers starts when I was 14 years old. And at that time, I was selected as the member of CBAPU, that is a community-based anti-poaching unit, which is the unit of the youth of the buffer zone community forest. And I was the only female community ranger at that time. And so we community rangers, we are not the legal government rangers who have the proper uniforms and getting salary from that work, but we are the rangers who don't have those uniforms, and we don't have those weapons, and also we don't have the proper and we are also doing it as a voluntarily. And I feel that the community rangers have a little bit different roles and responsibilities than the other rangers, because we community rangers act as the bridge between the park officials and local people, and makes the peace relationship between and create a peaceful environment between the park and also the community people. And being community rangers, we have both opportunities to learn about the biodiversity and also to monitor the illegal activities inside the jungle. And since we are from the same local area, we can see, observe, and understand the behavior of the people and also take action according to it. And it's very important to educate and aware the people and make them to take ownership and ownership of taking care of the wildlife for the sustainable conservation. So we are collaborating with the government and the different key stakeholders and conduct awareness programs in the different communities and the villages. And I would like to also mention some of the works we do as the community rangers. And, first of all, the main thing is that we do patrolling in the jungle, and this patrolling is done in the collaboration with the both park officials, that is rangers, and the army officials, and also some other conservationists. And at that patrolling time, we keep record of all the flora and fauna sighted in that journey, and also we record all the illegal activities and take action if that is taken immediately at that time. And we also do the rescue of the wildlife. We have a great team here, and we rescue many wildlife like crocodiles, snakes, and many more animals and birds, and release them in their natural habitat. And the other thing is we help in the habitat management of the forest. That is like grassland management, wetland management, fire line, making any other man-made waterholes. And as I'm always in the front line if there is any survey that is going to be held on the particular species or any wildlife. So I have been if possible, I have been going in all those surveys as I get opportunities and time. And the other thing is we do cleaning campaign inside the jungle and also in the river. And also we hold different plantation programs in different areas of the villages and in the barren lands. And also the awareness program, it is the most important one, and it is done in the different communities people about the wildlife, its importance, and at the same time promoting tourism. And so the sustainable conservation is impossible without the participation of the local people. And we have had more challenges though. All the community rangers, we are doing it from our heart because we are living in the same place. We are born here, we grew up here, and we have to live here. We will live here till our last breath. So at the end, what I would like to say is that conservation, it is not our duty, but it's our responsibility to protect our mother nature to make our better future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alina, for this beautiful talk and sharing your experience. This is so heartwarming to always hear from inspiring ranger colleagues talk about their experiences. And I loved how you explained your role as a person who's come from the community and what conservation means to you, and how it works well when you own your natural resources this way. And I love how you described that you were the first one. I think this narrative to I was the first woman in my team to, who's encouraging many more. Thank you very much for being that role model, which is helping more women and young girls to come and join this profession. With this, Alina's story, again, I think brings into this entire situation to the perspective that rangers come from diverse backgrounds. They are from indigenous people, they represent local communities, they are government rangers, but most importantly, they own the natural resources, they own the values they carry on. And that's what makes them the strongest and perhaps the most unique professional workforce around the globe. So without further ado, I would now like to take you to Bhutan, where we have our colleague Sonam Dendup joining, and he's going to tell us his story as a ranger, to how challenging and how difficult the life of a ranger is, but what is it that comes out as a conservation benefit? So over to you, Sonam.
Very good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, and Kuzuzangpo from Bhutan. And I'm Sonam Dendup, currently working as a forest ranger at Jomotsangkha Wildlife Sanctuary under Department of Forest and Park Services. Uh, in today's sessions, I will be sharing about some of the conservation works undertaken by the rangers of Bhutan and challenges they face. Before I talk about the conservation activities, my story, I would like to take a moment to wish ranger across the globe a very happy Rangers Day. And let me also not forget to thank organizer for giving me this opportunity to share some of the conservation activities that are undertaken by the rangers of Bhutan and challenges they are currently facing. Uh, to begin with my talk, Bhutan has a total of 10 protected areas, and all those protected areas are connected by the Barahi corridors. And currently, I work at the Jomotsangkha Wildlife Sanctuary, which is located at the extreme southeast part of the Bhutan, adjoining with the Indian state of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh at the east. Jomotsangkha Wildlife Sanctuary is known to be the home for various wild flora and fauna, including the endangered wild Asian elephant, Royal Bengal tiger, and it is also known to be the home for uh, four species of hornbill which are found in Bhutan. What are some of the activities and roles and responsibilities that rangers in Bhutan carry out? First and foremost, being one civil servant, we have very important mandates to deliver a very effective and efficient service delivery to our general public. And this general service delivery includes broadly in the three categories. Firstly, the forest rangers in Bhutan deliver services in issuance of forest clearance for various development activities, and we also deliver our service in allocation of natural resources and issuance of permits to our public or community as per the rules and regulations of the country. Uh, Secondly, the activities that rangers undertake is to being a warrior of the nature or the guardian of the natures. The ranger of Bhutan undergo conduct anti-poaching patrolling using smart technology, and we do also address carry out mitigations and address the human wildlife conflict works. And we also rangers in Bhutan also carry out some research related activities such as field survey and conducting camera trap exercises. And apart from this normal works, patrolling and forest service delivery, we also engage in participatory forest management works, which encourage the conservations of local communities in conservation works. Regarding the anti-poaching patrolling, I am one of the lead rangers in my porch area, leading my patrol team in uh, border areas using a smart technology, and we have encountered so many poachers and hunters carrying well-equipped arms and ammunitions and some lethal weapons which could harm the battle team members. And some of the other activities that we carry out are to mitigate the human wildlife conflict. The rangers also have very hard time to attend the established duty calls and attend established duty calls, and we also carry out human-wildlife conflict mitigations works, such as the establishment of habitat management works, grassland, and waterhole and natural mineral leaks are all carried out to address the human-wildlife conflict. Another thing that rangers carry out is participatory forest management activities that rangers take a sole responsibility to provide technical support in carrying out the management preparation of management plan for the community forest and knowledge forest product groups member, and also we facilitate and support them in marketing of those forest produce. Uh, if I share some of the challenges that rangers face during their day-to-day activities that the rangers have, being one of the, by nature of our work, we have to stay away from our family, and we have to perform our duties in very harsh weather conditions, and we do have risks from the poachers, and we have also a risk from the wildlife attacks. So with this brief talks, I would like to end my presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonam, for this great insight. Definitely very inspiring, and there's a lot of learning for all of us in here. I would now like to request the large range speaker that we have today from India, Dr. Bibhuti Ranjan, who is from Kaziranga National Park and the Tiger Reserve. He's also a great example of how a ranger would look like. He's a researcher, he's a defender for wildlife, and he's also engaged in community tourism and awareness. And he's, of course, a PhD in the field of forestry. So let's hear from Dr. Bibhuti about his experiences as a ranger and also as a protector of wildlife from a Kaziranga National Park's perspective. Over to you, Dr. Bibhuti.
I'm audible.
You are audible, Dr. Bibhuti.
Thank you, everyone, to give me such kind of opportunity to interact with you and all. First of all, I wish everyone a happy World Rangers Day. I joined this service in 2017. First posting was I have been posted since 2019 in Kaziranga Tiger Reserve. Since then, I have been hello.
Yes, we can hear you fine, Dr. Bibhuti. Please go ahead.
I'm audible. I have some network issue. That's why it's like.
Yes, we are. We can hear you fine. Please go ahead. I think we may have lost Dr. Bibhuti briefly. Let's just wait for him to come back. And while we wait for Dr. Bibhuti to come back and rejoin us, those of you who are streaming us over the YouTube, please feel free to leave your questions in the chat section. Our colleagues are monitoring that section and they will pick up the questions and bring it back to our speakers and to our panelists who are part of today's webinar. So if that's okay, maybe Sonali ji, can I maybe request you to help us to share those questions that our participants has here, and Vibhuti ji then comes back and take it from there in the meantime, in the interest of time.
Yes, no, thank you so much, Hamira ji and everybody. It was wonderful listening to the young rangers there of Alina and Sonam. And I think I'll pitch in for Dr. Vibhuti, because we've just finished celebrating our local, the World Rangers Day. We just finished that with around 100 staff here in Kaziranga. And yes, the network is really bad today for some reason. So if we can go to the next slide, I think the theme that we wanted to present, I think me and Vibhuti, who's a ranger with me in Kaziranga, is collectively on this aspect, which of course I learned from Dr. Rohit, which is that rangers are the first responders, So Kaziranga, as all of you know, is a World Heritage. It is a tiger reserve. It's known for its iconic species, the one-horned rhino and the other, which are collectively the big five. It's spread across 1,300 square kilometers. Next slide, please. And basically, it has 3 divisions. And next slide, please. And Vibhuti is in one of the most important ranges, which is the Kaziranga range. It used to be earlier called the Kohora range. So he handles a very important aspect of, the key tourism aspect and the key, the core of the populations. Next, please. And so basically, when we talk about first responders, when we talk about that, what kind of protection that we offer, and which the previous speakers also spoke about, it's like this is a conservation success story. The park is more than 118 years old, and we have a population of the big five, which is the great one-horned rhino, the Asian elephants, tigers, and swamp deer, and water buffalo. And there is a significant increase in their numbers over the years. So it is a conservation success story. So next slide, please. And so every time, we have some sort of aspects, like, for example, if there is a flood, or if there is any key anti-poaching activity, then these are the major activities as a park ranger, as a park manager. So of course, as I said, that since we have 70% of the global world, one-horned rhinos population, so the key aspect becomes the anti-poaching activities. We have just come out of a very big flood, which broke the record of 1991. So that was one of the key aspects that we were looking at, which is basically monsoon management and post-flood repair and so on. And then, of course, there is a habitat management, if you all noticed in the short video, where we took the opportunity of a good flood to remove the invasive species, the water hyacinth, this time from our wetlands, and several others. Next, please. And yes, so what could be the major threats? Of course, we could have the habitat loss. Poaching still continues to be a global threat, and the rhino poaching, and there, of course, our efforts, our entire machinery is focused around that, if we can reduce it or aim towards the zero poaching. During the floods, the importance of the corridors becomes very important, because they connect the park to the higher grounds in the Karbi Anglong Hills. So we need to connect the corridors, and of course, the issue of continuous expansion of the human population. Next, please. So yeah, okay. And if you see this graph, and I think people like Vibhuti, people like the forest frontline of Nepal, of Africa and everywhere, our main challenge has been to combat the poaching activities, and over the years this has come down significantly, but still the threat looms large, and it keeps us on our toes as well in terms of to have all the activities available. So yeah, okay, Vibhuti, if you are there now, if you want to take over, but okay, I'll continue. Next slide, please. Right. So as we were mentioning, that a good flood is good for us. In a sense, we do not want that there should not be a flood, because it's a floodplain ecosystem. It's nature's washing machine. So we need the floods to recharge our water bodies, our the riverine areas, the grasslands, and basically it is something which needs to be undertaken, and we have to be prepared for it. And of course, if there is a emergency like a flash flood or a cloud burst upstream, or a dam outflow, then of course it is a problem, and that is something where one needs to respond. Next, please. And okay, normal flood is useful because it is able to maintain the, as we said, the water. It controls the water hyacinths, it removes the woody species, and it recharges our water bodies, and it is also helping in nutrient cycling. Next, please. Right. So what do we do as the first responders? Because every year we have the floods. This year we had the floods on the 1st of July. So prior to that, it was important that we are prepared. We took up several multi-stakeholder meetings, especially with the communities. We ensured that we are able to repair our boats, our boat lines. We are able to ensure that the highways which are on the boundaries of our protected area has barricades. We are able to limit the speed on the highways, and of course we would need and pitch in for additional staff. And of course, during the flood, which has been since last 1 month, has been like 100 years for most of us, because we had to do round the clock vigilance, look at animal movement, crossing, and ensure that they have a safe passage. And of course, all of this was achieved with the support of the local communities, most importantly, the NGOs, the police and district authorities. Next, please. Right. So we do have flood rescue in Kaziranga. These are live, real pictures from recent, where you can see that how animals, especially the young animals, get stranded, and one needs to actively rescue them. Other than that, we do not believe in rescuing as such. If there is a natural mortality, it's fine. But if there are animals that get stranded, especially orphaned or others, then they get into sort of care and sort of a captivity until they can be put back into the wild. Next, please. Right. And these are like, we can go on with these slides. These were our meetings that we did. Okay, go ahead. Next slide, please. And the best part about when we do an active flood management is that it gets the political will at the highest level. So the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, he took a meeting on the 15th of June, and all the departments, it was a big interdepartmental meeting, and it just showed this concern and the seriousness of the political support to combating flood as a disaster, especially for wild animals. Next, please. And of course, we not only restricted us to the national park. We looked at the core, the buffer areas. We went into the hill areas. We went into the other districts and took up talks and more, sort of coordination meeting with them. Next, please. And of course, these are some of the real time when on the 1st of July, we had the highest flood water. And so everybody pitched in. We had convoy systems. Next, please. For our traffic, we had, departmental police and forest department meetings to understand that, okay, what are the different areas where we need to, because the animals were all over, they were outside our protected area. So we had to ensure that there is no poaching or no, our intelligence teams were working in place. Next, please. And these are some of the footage pictures of actual, captivity of orphaned animals. As you can see, this is, and that's the DFO along with the veterinarians. And this young female calf was, separated from the mother. She was stranded. She was in a house. And then we had to, and the community really responded well by contacting us. And then, with everybody's effort, we were able to rescue her, bring her to this facility, which is exclusively set up for taking care of orphaned animals. And then now, I think after a while, we'll decide as to what would be the next step. Similarly, the Samba, which was rescued, and of course, now it's gone back into the wild. Next, please. And not just the frontline or the police and other departments, we also got volunteers, we got NGOs, and we got NCC and NSS, which is basically the volunteers who are students of colleges. They helped us, nudging and gently asking the people to drive slow and drive carefully. Next, please. And yes, the animal corridors needed to be cleaned up. And next, please. And yes, of course, technology is a big thing when we look at, how do we manage our animals? So like we have very sophisticated animal sensor systems, which are able to inform us in terms of the movement of animals when they cross. They also give us the speed limits of the vehicles. Next, please. And yes, we were able to, during the high flood, because all our camps had people. So despite the fact that we had high floods, our anti-poaching camps had people manning them 24/7. But then since they were cut off, we had to supply essential items like medicines and ration to them. And then we were able to do that. Next, please. And of course, we have a substantial number of women frontline now. They were named as One Durgas by the Honorable Prime Minister when he visited the park on 9th of March. And they have equally supported in the role of as first responders. Next, please. And of course, we had to, during that time, we had to be alert in terms of the other aspects of hunting and poaching. So these are some instances where we got the intelligence input and we were able to successfully take the case. Next, please. Yes, public awareness. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, so I think we can stop here because, we can close the presentation here due to the paucity of time. But the idea is to say, and I can maybe, Hamira, take this time for 2 minutes to conclude with my wrap up as well, that I think it's very important that our rangers or the green warriors are recognized as the first responders, not just for the wild animals, not just for the, the natural areas, but also for the communities, the fringe communities which are living around our protected areas, especially during disasters, natural disasters, be it floods or, drought or any other of that sense. And I think we have the capability, the right kind of exercise and the preparedness by which we could, look at that. And I think during this World Rangers Day, we can not just be, for the multifarious roles that the rangers do, we can also add in their value as the first responders. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sonali ji, for this insightful presentation and for a beautiful wrap up. And like you rightly said, rangers really lie at the heart of nature conservation and protection work. And this is what makes them the planetary healthcare workers. So thank you. With this, I'd like to say thank you to all the honorable speakers, our rangers from India, Bhutan, and Nepal, Dr. Sonali, Dr. Madhurao, all the team of IUCN WCPA, Rohit Singh, our colleagues, our ARSA partners who have helped us to organize today's webinar. We do not have, unfortunately, time to respond to the very good questions that we have received, but we will in touch for another event, of course, where we would have more time. And I'll just conclude with this note that, as for all of us, no matter what discipline we represent, but we care about the planet, we care about the biodiversity, it's very important to keep supporting and recognizing rangers, not just because they protect biodiversity, but also for the limited resources and challenging conditions they face while they are performing their duties. So the Roll of Honor, which is a list that is published every year by the International Ranger Federation, is a living proof that we keep on losing rangers on the front lines who are so determined to protect wildlife, biodiversity, and our planet, which is essential for our own survival. So therefore, we all carry this responsibility to support rangers and to recognize rangers, because elevating their importance would not only just bring them an honor, a better recognition, but also increase the opportunities for rangers to get that support that is needed for making their profession much more enabling and much more healthy for everybody. So thank you everybody for joining, and good evening, good afternoon, and have a good day to everyone.
Thanks, Amira.